Good evening, Buffaloes, and welcome to the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Campus Kickoff. Let's welcome our very own Colorado Buffaloes student innovator and tonight's MC, Rohan Baisha.
All right, good evening, Buffs, and welcome to this year's Innovation and Entrepreneurship Campus Kickoff. My name's Rohan Baisha, and I'm an undergraduate senior here, and I, like many of you have or soon will, began my entrepreneurial journey right here at CU with my startup Pair Virtual Stylist, an artificially intelligent personal stylist at your fingertips. The resources, mentors, and opportunities for innovating at CU Boulder are tremendous, and I hope after tonight, you all will walk away with a lot more insight into how you can take advantage of what CU's Innovation and Entrepreneurship Initiative has to offer. Tonight, I'll be your host to guide you through the evening, and with that, here's our lineup for the next 90 minutes. We'll start with diving into what entrepreneurship actually means and how it can change your life. Then we'll go into hearing startup stories from current students and alumni, including Chris White, who started a wildly successful and equally outrageous clothing company called China Sea. I'm actually wearing their Derby flag shirt right here. And finally, Zayo's Sandy May will join us and talk to you about how you can find help and inspiration that you need on campus to get started. Whether you're already dabbling with building a product or company, thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, or you're considering working for a startup and wondering how to do that, you're in the right place to start that journey. With that being said, let's start with a quick word from Chris Gustafson, the director of our Campus Innovation and Entrepreneurship Initiative. Take it away, Chris.
Thanks so much, Rohan. Hey, everybody, it's Chris Gustafson. So glad to be here tonight. Woo-woo! Kicking off our Innovation and Entrepreneurship Fall Kickoff. Thanks so much for being here. Just want to cover three quick things before we start. The first one is why innovation and entrepreneurship is so important. Second one is how you can engage. And the third one is what you need to do by October 1st. So let's start with the why. I think we do a fabulous job on campus giving you a ton of ways to plug in. I don't know that we always give you information on the why. So here's your chance. What I challenge all of you to do is come up with your own personal reason to believe in innovation and entrepreneurship. Think of what your dream is. Think of what your journey can be. This is your time to craft your own journey. We're at a time in our lives when things are in flux, things are challenging. Now is the time for you to think about what that could mean for you. Whether you're an art student and passionate about creating your own studio, whether you're someone like Rohan, an engineer who has created his own personal stylist app, whatever that is, think of what your dream is and how you want to seize it. We know entrepreneurship is so important for building our economy, for changing lives, but think about what that personally means for you, and that's going to get you fired up right now when we're in such a challenging environment. Second up, the how. First, like to give a shout out to the Denver Nuggets basketball team because we're about to make a little sports analogy here. But the how is we've got this amazing office on campus, the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Initiative, that will help you to move the ball down the court. So think of us as your point guard that's helping move the ball down the court, passing that ball to you where you are so you can make your goal. All right, now is the time for you to plug in. All you need to do is get in touch with our office. We will connect the dots for you. We'll help you get plugged in with the resources on campus. There are many, and you're going to hear about them tonight. So I'll put it in chat, how to get in touch with us, and we will help you get that ball down the court. Finally, let's talk about the what. So by October 1st, I challenge all of you to make a personal action item out of what your innovation and entrepreneurship goal is. So if you don't have an idea of what type of venture you may want to create, what kind of change you want to create, come up with an idea. I'm going to show you what I do every day. I literally take notes on this flip chart with some of my business ideas. I also do it on my iPhone in notes. I also eat a ton of espresso beans to keep my energy up. So by October 1st, see if you can come up with an idea. Secondly, another option you can do is you can come to a validator session in October for us to help you vet through that idea a little bit. You can also work with one of our mentors to give you feedback on your idea. If your idea is a little more advanced and you're ready to roll, think about joining the new venture challenge and competing and getting some money for your idea. So we've got lots of options for you. I challenge you by October 1st to come up with what step you're going to take and commit to it to a friend, because right now we need to be leaning on one another. All right, with that, I would like to thank Terry Fees, my boss with the Research and Innovation Office. She's done an amazing effort helping us to connect these dots and keep everyone engaged. Secondly, thank you to all the partners and speakers tonight. And finally, thank you to our production team, including Mal Richardson, Tara O'Brien, Mara, Artem, and of course, Rohan. Hold on, one more thing. I want to encourage all of you, in the words of Michael Scott, who is also parroting Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Take some shots. Let's make it happen, okay? Thanks, everybody. Have fun tonight.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. Let's get started with the show. During the show, please use the chat bar to ask any questions, or always feel free to email us at innovate@colorado.edu. Also, let's get a quick view of our production team. We're here for you if you need any help. Accompanying me, we have our amazing team. There's Chris, who you just heard from, Artem, Mara, Mal, and Tara. And because of their amazing production skills, let's kick this off with what innovation and entrepreneurship means to students on campus. We have a quick video featuring some of CU's best student innovators to get us started. So let's get that on.
At CU Boulder, we take pride in our entrepreneurial spirit and having an impact in our community.
We're passionate about taking chances and trying new things.
We're driven by curiosity and the idea that innovation can be found anywhere.
We know the startup journey can be tough sometimes, but we push through to reach our goals.
We're comfortable being uncomfortable and doing things on the fly.
When we see an opportunity for change, we step up to the challenge.
No matter our backgrounds, we seek to collaborate effectively to solve problems.
And if things don't go our way, we know it's okay to fail and try again.
And the coolest thing about entrepreneurship at CU Boulder, anyone can do it.
Hopefully that video gave you a glimpse of how entrepreneurship is different for everyone. You can really be whatever you choose. And with that, we have a little poll for you guys to see where you are on your entrepreneurship journey. So take a minute, the poll should be up on your screens briefly, to let us know. All right, so inspiration is often the first step to have an idea of what kind of business you would start. A lot of you, according to our results, are just starting out on your entrepreneurship journey, but have no fear if you don't know the answer to that yet. When I started my own business, I was inspired by a personal problem. I'm colorblind, and I really wanted to know how to match my clothes because I really could not see any colors. So I wanted a personal stylist, and I built one. Like myself, entrepreneurs draw inspiration from all sorts of pain points they see in our world. For our next portion, we'll be hearing from other founders about what inspired them and how their stories unfolded. Let's start our journey with Vanessa Warren Holzberg, a CU buff who has an interesting entrepreneurial story from this past spring. Then we'll hear from Chris White, a CU alum who founded the company Shinesty. Vanessa, you're up next. Tell us about your story and what you would recommend to other students who are interested in starting their own company. And audience, shoot any questions in the chat and Vanessa will have a few minutes to cover them. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Let me get my slides going here. Perfect. So my name is Vanessa Warren. I'm going to share with you my experiences during my time here at CU. So I just graduated with my undergrad in marketing at the Leeds School of Business, where I also received a certificate in entrepreneurial studies. Now, the certificate program was an extremely rewarding experience. My biggest highlight was during my last semester when I took a class called New Venture Creation. And what's awesome about this class is that it's open to both business students and engineering students as well. So it was really fun to see all the genius ideas come out of the engineers and then see all the business students work their magic to really turn those ideas into reality. So in this class, we teamed up and created a product or service. And I was lucky to land on a team with some extremely bright and driven students. And so here we are. As you can see, there is a nice balance of different strengths from each team member, both in the business and engineering sectors. So the product that was presented to us by the CEO of our team, Kelton, is a solution to the hassle of cleaning our favorite reusable water bottles. So you all probably have a water bottle that looks like this, maybe like this, something like that. And when you go to try and clean it, you probably look a little bit like this. And so it turns out there's a simpler way to clean your water bottle. Ultraviolet light is proven to kill 99.99999% of bacteria and virus through the breakdown of their DNA. So we use that to design a universal lid for most popular water bottle brands that has ultraviolet light built into it. All you do is just screw on the lid, press the button, and your water bottle will be sterilized in just 60 seconds. So my team and I were having so much fun with this product concept, collecting data, interviewing people, writing the entire business plan, and then 2/3 into the semester, guess what happens? That's right, coronavirus hits the US. And so during the time that we're anticipating to hear whether our campus will remain open or close, our professor, Brad Werner, has presented us with the opportunity to pivot our business idea to a product or service that can be helpful during the pandemic. So our team gets together and we create the Vio box. Now we are using the same ultraviolet light to disinfect masks in this 10-inch reflective box. So the box can hold up to 5 masks, and according to the Center for Disease Control, they can be sterilized in 3 hours. So this new product ended up gaining some recognition on campus, and we won some prize money to be able to pursue it. We now have a few working prototypes of the box, one which is being used by Avery Brewing Company here in Boulder. We're currently working on a redesign of the product for a more modern look to try and sell to consumers. And we are also still pursuing the water bottle lid as well, with a Kickstarter launching soon. So this was overall my most rewarding experience at CU, and I feel excited to pursue entrepreneurship beyond the university. And so a few key takeaways from me, if you are interested in entrepreneurship, the first thing is to make sure it's a category you're passionate about. You'll achieve so much more that way. For example, if you love fly fishing, you should try and create a product that will help fly fishers. Second is not to be afraid to take risks. Things aren't going to just happen on their own. You have to take the initiative and go for it. Keep in mind, if you are an introvert, you can achieve this as well. You can still be the CEO of your own company and just have someone do the public speaking for you. It's best to know all of your strengths and weaknesses. So this leads me to my last bit of advice, which is to ask for help. Get other students on board who may have some skills that you are lacking. Talk to campus faculty who may specialize in your area of interest, and gain as much feedback as you can. Do all the research and use all the resources that you were given. It's endless how many you were given as a student. So here are some helpful resources to me. The easiest way to get involved is to take a class in the Leeds School of Business. The basic class is Entrepreneurial Environments. I know engineering offers classes too. The Deming Center at Leeds is the Entrepreneurship Center. I would get involved and sign up for any events just like this one. It's really inspiring to hear from other CEOs and past students who have had great success. Another resource is Natalia Tingle, our research librarian. She is a wealth of knowledge and she's willing to meet with anyone and help you get started on your research journey. And lastly, as a student, you have a free membership to many of these research platforms. A few that were most helpful to me were the iBiz World Report, where you can research different industries, or PitchBook, which relates more to startup companies. And so these are just a few of my recommendations. I hope they're helpful. My email is down there as well if you want to shoot me any questions. And there will be more resource information offered in this presentation later today. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Vanessa. We have a couple minutes for a couple questions. It does look like, however, our chat feature is down. Technical issues happen to everyone. As entrepreneurs, we just have to adjust. And so our adjustment is, if you do have any questions along the way, please email innovate@colorado.edu. In the meantime, we have a few questions for Vanessa that I think everyone can get a lot from. The first question is, you all switched directions with your original company idea and pivoted into a COVID solution. Tell us what that felt like. Was it hard to make that decision?
Yeah, a little bit. It was kind of exciting, actually. Kind of something that you just hit the ground running. And what was hard was to kind of put our project aside that we were working so hard on. But once we got started pivoting into this new product, we were equally as excited about it. And it ended up working out really well for us. The only challenge that we had was it was all happening so quickly. Generally, you would give yourself a lot more time to come up with all the research and information and the business plan, but we were kind of doing what we like to call a design sprint, where you kind of get something to the market in a lot less time, which is a lot more challenging because you're kind of skipping over some steps, but it's more of a learn as you go process. But yeah, it was definitely just as rewarding as our original plan.
Super interesting. Awesome. And that's super cool that you guys pivoted just like that to get a solution that really works out and is great timing with what's happening. So fantastic. Our second question we have from an audience member actually is, can you please talk about the team dynamic? How did your team divide work and find the best strategy to complete your project?
Yeah, our team was very dynamic. We had 2 engineers and 3 business students, and each within a different major within business and engineering. So everyone kind of tackled a piece of the business plan and the research project that pertained to them. So, you know, the engineers were kind of more designing the product, and the business students were more trying to find the target market and the packaging design and all kinds of other things. And so we all got along as people, which is really important. And we were able to come together and step up when we decided that we wanted to tackle a certain part of the project. If there was any one thing that none of us wanted to do, we would kind of divvy that up a little bit fairly, such as finance. And so, yeah, it's really important just to work with people that you get along with, and everything will just end up getting done as long as everyone's equally as motivated.
Fantastic. And our last question we have before time runs out is, what do you think is the biggest piece of advice you have for your fellow students as they take this, leap into creating something or joining with other entrepreneurs to build out their ideas?
Yeah, I mean, it's always scary to think about in the beginning, the unknown and how you would be able to start something from scratch, but you just got to do it. You just got to take that first step, whatever that is for you, and never stop asking questions. So there's always more to learn. There's always more to find out. There's always some piece of information you're probably missing. So if you're always stuck and you feel like you can't get more forward until something else happens, then just keep doing more research in the in-between times and keep talking to people about your ideas and products, and just take every day as the opportunity to grow, and don't waste any time or opportunity to talk to people and to better yourself and your product and your team.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Vanessa. We really appreciate your story and answering those questions. I hope you all gained a lot of insight from what Vanessa had to say. So thank you so much. And after hearing Vanessa's story, you can all see how important it is to surround yourself with a strong team that'll inspire you and hold you accountable to your dreams. In just a few minutes, you're about to hear from Shinesty. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about our startup community here. We have as far as startups and entrepreneurs go in Boulder, we have a strong community here in Boulder. In the past, we would strengthen this community by asking each of you to turn to someone you don't know, introduce yourself, and brief each other on your entrepreneurial journey. But this year, we can't do that with COVID and everything happening. So I encourage all of you to go out of your way to meet some of the people that you see in today's show, to reach out to other entrepreneurs on campus and out of campus and in the Boulder community, and strengthen your ties, because someday they can help you in your own innovation journey. Now, up next, we have another inspiring story from Chris White, who founded the company Shinesty. Chris definitely has an amazing story to tell, and when you go to the Shinesty website, you'll get the sense that there's a strong team inspiring one another and making each other laugh. Our very own Brad Bernthal will be interviewing Chris. If you don't know Brad, he's a Colorado law professor and also one of the original founders of CU Boulder's startup competition, the New Venture Challenge, which we'll fill you in more about later as we go. We'll hear from Chris for about 10 to 15 minutes, then allow some time for your questions as well. So go ahead and please email innovate@colorado.edu as we go, and take it over, Brad and Chris, for our fireside chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Rohan. And Rohan, could I get a thumbs up, or Chris, a thumbs up if you are getting my audio okay? All right. Well, so as Rohan's alluded to, one of the purposes of tonight is to show some different ways that entrepreneurship can look and different types of entrepreneurial journeys, and delighted to have Chris here to share some of his notes. Chris, let's start sort of at the where are we now with respect to Shynasty. You guys create irreverent products for important social moments in people's lives. What does that mean? Tell people what you're doing and where the company is now.
Yeah, definitely. Happy to. We've been around for about 6 years. We have about 40 employees. And really at our core, what we do as a brand is try to make people laugh. And so reminding the world that life doesn't have to be so serious, especially in some of the social and irreverent moments in your life. Important always, important now more than ever, as there is a lot of serious stuff that should be taken seriously during 2020. The human body, the human soul craves some levity and some humor. It's just part of who we are. And so that is the mission of the Shynasty brand. So we sell products, mostly apparel and accessories, for anything from your obvious social events like Christmas parties, 4th of July, St. Patrick's Day, music festivals. And over the last few years, that's broadened a little bit more into not just product for social events, but also just product that makes people laugh. We call that irreverent retail. And so our goal is to own the landscape online for irreverent retail and to force the world to take itself less seriously. That's about where we are. At this point, it's been, like I said, about 6 years. We are a pretty sizable company, so we will do somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 million in sales this year. So it's a decent sized operation at this point, and things are going really well. We're happy with what we've built so far and plan to continue.
You've got a little bit of merchandise behind you. Can you give us a couple examples of what it looks like to
yeah, sure.
Shynasty here?
Here's a very serious Miami-inspired, 70s-inspired short-sleeved blazer. Perfect for
nice.
Interviews and first dates and such. I guess I'm wearing a Broncos shirt that we produced for the NFL. So we have some partnerships with licensing for some beer brands and some sporting leagues and things like that. Really just think about any time you want to have a good time with the good people in your life. Really, we want to make product to enhance those moments and make those moments more fun, more memorable, more humorous, more silly, more irreverent.
All right, so super helpful. Let's go back to when the idea for Shynasty came to you and your partner Jens. I know that you were doing a JD here at Colorado Law and an MBA at the same time. When was the idea hatched? How'd you guys come to it?
Yeah, for sure. So and important to mention, I was pretty young at the time. So even though I'm old now and I'm married and stuff, at the time I was much younger. So closer to probably a lot of the students who are watching than to my current age. But the idea kind of actually came from undergrad. So I went straight from undergrad to grad school. And when you're an undergrad, you go to parties, you go to events, you go to music festivals, you travel. You have plenty of time on your hands, or at least I did. Maybe not this audience, but I had plenty of time on my hands, enough time to go to thrift shops and eBay and find really cool, unique product for these events. And as we got into graduate school, had jobs, my partner Jens and I were talking, we were saying, hey, you know what? It's interesting. Now we have jobs, we have some income, but we don't actually, and we still go to events. We still spend all of our discretionary income traveling to bachelor parties, traveling to music festivals, probably more actually after college, because you have that ability. But we don't have time. We don't have time to search through eBay and search through thrift shops. And so that was kind of the original impetus. It's changed a little bit since then, of course. But the original impetus was like, hey, why don't we create a place online, a brand online that can help people find a really well curated selection of product for these social moments so they can just buy it right there, easy transaction, and not have to search through the racks of Goodwill or through estate sales.
So the first time that you told me about the idea, it was, I think, 2014. You and Jens had come up with this idea and basically said, Brad, what we're going to do is we're going to find people your age and find the clothes that you've got somewhere in the closet, and we're going to match it with hip people who want to use it ironically to go to parties now. I thought, hey, that's kind of interesting. I don't know how you're going to find enough people like me who've got the 80s gear. Talk about, how did you decide that this was an idea worth taking forward? Like, all right, you've got an idea, it makes some sense to you as a potential user, but how did you go from that to, hey, we've got conviction, we're going to do this?
Yeah, we definitely didn't listen to our professors because, hearing that feedback from people who weren't in the target market was very much like, I don't understand this and this will never work. But what we did was we talked to customers. And so, we built a really simple, think about like building a PowerPoint slide that gave an explanation in 3 bullet points of what we were trying to do. And so a really, really simple 1-page splash page with a couple of photos and a couple of sentences. We then harassed our friends on Facebook. At the time, Facebook Messenger was like a main method of communicating. So we DM'd the link to all of our friends, as many people as we could, shamelessly, people that we hadn't talked to in years and years and years, just to try to get feedback. And the feedback was super positive, with people saying, yeah, I would absolutely love this. I would shop here for sure. This sounds like an awesome idea. And so really listening to the people that we believed at the time, at least, was the majority of the target market, and asking them directly and asking them to be really honest with us, hearing negative, positive feedback, hearing questions and seeing where that line of questioning went. But it was as simple as that. So we didn't do anything at first. We just built a 1-page, really, really simple 1-page website on a drag and drop editor.
All right. So your point number 1, don't listen to professors like me. Point number 2, go talk to customers, potential customers, to see if they give you belief in the idea. Now, I will defend myself. I wasn't entirely wrong about my concern about finding enough stuff in my closet, right? Talk a little bit about how the business model that you started with has pivoted or evolved over the years.
Yeah, definitely. So when we first started, everything we were selling was vintage clothing. So it was used, pre-owned product that we would curate from a variety of places. So we went out and actually hired people in different cool hip locations, Portland and Madison, Wisconsin, and Austin, Texas, to go and search for vintage product and actually send it to us. And then we would photograph it, we'd list it on the website and sell it and fulfill it. That did work as a small business. It was, a decent way to have a small business, but we kind of envisioned something a little bit bigger than that. So we envisioned, becoming this go-to brand or this go-to destination for all of life's social moments. And what we realized probably 6 months into that was it was really difficult to scale. So really difficult to take a picture, have an amazing ski onesie from the 1980s in perfect colors and perfect condition. But even if you sell for $300, you can only sell 1 unit for $300. And so really quickly, we kind of realized that from a product perspective, we would need to find another way to source more product so that the investments that we were making in brand, in marketing, and building that voice could really talk to more people than just one at a time, onesies, twosies. So that was kind of something that we realized early on, and the product line moved forward from there and has continued to evolve.
One other, I think, really interesting change in your business model that you mentioned to me before is the idea of subscriptions, which I didn't think about with clothing, as well as importantly, the power of undergarments. Maybe you could bring us current in terms of how subscription and our undergarments have made sense for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. So like I said at the beginning, the vision of Shinesty was really to force the world to take itself less seriously. And so as we kind of broadened and expanded that, we thought beyond just your Christmas party or just your 4th of July party. And we thought okay, what are some products that people wear every day that could bring humor to their lives? And how do we think about those, sizing that market? And so what are big opportunities for us there in terms of what most people, 98% of people wear? That's underwear and socks. And so one of the products that we launched a couple of years ago that's really kind of helped scale the business from a revenue perspective, at least, is our underwear program. So we launched that with really ridiculous, over the top, R-rated. I probably can't talk about some of the designs on this program because
you just ensured that every student question from here to the end will be about those designs. But go ahead. It was nice.
Every person here has 2 screens right now, so you can go to the website and listen to me, or as you listen to us talk here, and check out some of the designs. Probably don't want to show your mom, but yeah, we make inappropriate, at times hilarious, but also really high quality underwear that is really nice. So a lot of times actually people buy the underwear because they're like, this is really funny. And then they get it and they're like, wow, I actually need a lot more pairs of these because these are the most comfortable underwear I've actually ever put on. And so that business kind of evolved from there. We launched a subscription product. So allowing customers to subscribe and not have to think about it, get underwear once a quarter or once a month. And yeah, that part of the business has exploded and been a really positive for us from an operating perspective. Helping kind of stabilize some of the ebbs and flows of the holiday markets. Before we launched the underwear product, very up and down based on what time of the calendar it essentially was. And this really helped kind of stabilize the whole business.
I want to change topics a little bit from talking about the business itself to talking about your experience in building the business. Back from when you and Jens hatched the idea to today. As you reflect on it, what has been a personal high and a personal low that, like, this is, either stands out to me or it's illustrative of what it's like to be on an entrepreneurial journey? Let's start with the high.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of highs for sure. You learn an incredible amount. You learn more launching your own business than you can I think than doing anything else. So I went to college, I went to graduate school in 2 different programs, and I think it, as great as the CU education is, pales in comparison to doing it yourself. But probably for me, the biggest high is really like building a team and getting to see people step up and succeed in areas that maybe you didn't expect or that they didn't have experience in, and watching them develop into stars, right? So we've had people, we actually just had our first employee celebrate our 6-year anniversary. So that's kind of how we know that we've been around for 6 years. And it's been amazing to see people like her, people who we hired when they were 20 years old, develop from interns into running whole departments and running whole teams on in our business.
So I know you said a $25 million business or something around there this year is what you're expecting, which is really amazing. How many employees?
We have about 40 employees, and then we have about 80 during the holidays because we scale up.
Okay. So 40 to 80. How do you bet in terms of team? And maybe let's break this into 2 stages. Like, early on, how did you make your bets in terms of who you surrounded yourself with on the team? What worked and didn't there? And then I'd like to hear about today, as the company's bigger, it's a different sort of animal. How do you bet today? So let's go back to the beginning. Founding team, how do you think about that?
So that is really important, really, really, really important. And I got just really lucky starting a business with someone Jens, who ended up being one of my best friends. We are just very like oil and water in a good way. We have very different skill sets, but we think the same things are funny. We like drinking whiskey. We have similar hobbies and interests, similar senses of humor. So that's really lucky. But I think equally as important is the first kind of 5 employees that you bring onto the team. And it's not so much, I mean, at least for us, it wasn't so much a skill set necessarily as it was kind of an attitude that meshed with Jens and I's attitude. So that's have a sense of humor, work ridiculously hard. We probably worked harder than we needed to, honestly. If I was doing it again, there's some arrows I could have avoided. But that work ethic was really important because it kind of bonded everyone together. And then for us, it was like, be curious and want to learn. I think those two things, maybe not the sense of humor, depending on who you are as a person. That might not be although it is nice in the trenches to have someone who can make you laugh. But the work ethic and the curiosity are really the two things that I think you have to have in picking your team. And if you have an idea, you're trying to choose 2 or 3 people to help you build that idea. Really important that you guys mesh on those values and that those values align. You could be different. You could be from different backgrounds, different creeds, different religions. That doesn't matter at all. In fact, that's a positive thing. But what really matters is that you kind of you share a work ethic, you share a drive, and you surround yourself by curious people, because you're going to have a lot of problems that you have to solve. And curiosity helps with that tremendously.
How about hiring today? How does that look different than the people that you might have surrounded yourself with on the founding team?
Yeah, it's 100% different for sure. Today, when we have a lot more resources, we have profits coming in that we can reinvest into the company. We are able to hire experience, and that is necessary, right? You want someone at this stage of the company. We want someone who's built a sales or scaled a sales team to a much higher level than myself or Jen's ever has. But at the beginning, number one, you can't afford it. And number two, it's probably not the best skill set to align before you found product market fit and before you've kind of figured out, hey, is this idea going to work?
You said something to me once that you will always hire a failed entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Yeah. I just think that someone who has gone through the entrepreneurial experience has learned so much about a topic, about an industry, about themselves, and they know how to learn. Whether they succeeded or failed is kind of irrelevant to me. But someone with that entrepreneurial spirit is curious, has learned so much. I can't echo that enough. The learning is incredible. So I would take that person 9 times out of 10 because I know that they know how to think about problems, solve problems, work hard, and those traits are invaluable. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a kind of a no-brainer. There's people in my networks, they're hard to hire because they want to start their next thing. But even if I can only rent them for a year, Fletcher, who I think is going to talk later, I would have hired Fletcher in a second. I mean, we did hire Fletcher for a small period of time and I would have hired him for a second. Now he's 2 big leagues for us, but hard to hire, but the skill set you develop is incredible going through the journey.
All right. One more question from me, and then I'm going to turn to the audience questions. We've got some great questions from the student, but let's talk about the lows. So
yeah.
What's been the lowest moment in terms of this journey for you?
Man, there's a lot of lows too. Not that that's a bad thing, right? Like you have to experience the lows to experience the highs and make them feel like they should. But when something doesn't work, when you're going to hear no way more times than you're going to hear yes, whether that's in the sales process, in the hiring process, in the fundraising process, in the customer experience process, trying to figure out if you even have product market fit. You're going to hear no a lot.
You pick one of those, this just didn't work and it was a particularly big kick in the gut, or this no really hurt.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had at one point early in our kind of history, we had a shipping container of product that we had already sold fall off a boat essentially, or get lost in transit. And when something like that happens and you have to tell 2,000 people that they're not going to get their product that they've already paid for, and you have to refund all of those people, the tens of thousands of dollars that you were relying on to meet payroll, and then you have to have that conversation with your team, start running out of money. That's like an ultimate low, right?
What'd you do?
Begged, borrowed, and stealed until we were able to put together some emergency financing to really continue with the company. And that was early on. So investors who got a really, really, really good deal, but just believed in Jens and I, and believed that we had, I guess, for lack of a better term, the gumption to continue.
They doubled down. They got back behind you and bridged you when you needed it.
Correct. Yeah. But that's a bad feeling. Like seeing your bank account go below $50,000 when you have $75,000 of payroll. Hard feeling.
All right. Are you ready for a speed round? We'll go to some of the questions from the students. Number 1, Something that you wish you knew when you started, from Peyton Leggett. What do you wish someone, go back and talk to yourself when you're getting this started. What's one thing you're going to tell yourself?
Focus. So it's easy to want to have everyone has the inclination to want to boil the ocean. It's just, I think that's a natural human thing, especially with entrepreneurs. And that could be as broad as product to the channels that you're selling or marketing your product in. And focusing on what's working and continuously double downing on that. That's something we didn't even learn probably till last year, 4 years in. And when you start to do that, it's like lighting a match, lighting a match in a room full of gasoline. Like it is incredible, the power of focus. And I didn't really believe that until I did it.
And to be clear, you're not talking about like your own personal focus that you weren't working hard enough. You're saying find what is successful in the business and add ignition to that, or add lighter or fluid to that and make it bigger. Is that right?
100%. I'm talking about the company strategy. Focus, focus, focus. You find something that works, you need to continue down that path.
Lindsay wants to know, what technique do you use during the early market research phase for designs? Do you have in-house designers, others? How do you do that?
So initially for us, we, again, kind of did that beg, borrow, and steal. So when we started, it was thrift, vintage. We moved on. We started hiring like some contract designers very roughly, but we actually were selling most of our product by finding other small brands and reselling their product. And then as we kind of got bigger, we hired one person, one designer. That team has scaled. We probably have, I think, 6 people on that team now, but it's a step-by-step process, and you just kind of do what you can as you have the availability.
What is your why for doing what you do with Shinesty?
To make people laugh. And that's, sounds kind of silly and sounds kind of unimportant at times, especially when you think about like the years. Selling irreverent novelty clothing can seem silly in the big picture of things. But as we continue to put out content and see people's reaction and just get those authentic responses from customers who are saying like, you guys are absolutely fucking ridiculous, but you made me smile for the first time today going through my inbox because we're talking about some sort of obscure sex act in an email. It becomes worth it, right? Because people do need that levity and do need that humor. Humor is an important part of life. And so I'm just happy that we can bring that to people, even if it's a tiny, tiny, tiny little piece of their life.
All right, last question, and then we're going to wrap it up. You were in a class that I was teaching with a friend of mine, Jason Mendelson, Venture Capital, during the fall semester in which Shinesty is starting to blow up. And I think, in fact, you were being invited to go to talk shows or morning talk shows out in New York City instead of coming to my class.
Yeah.
Talk just a little bit about that and how you navigated these two worlds of, I want to get my degree. I've got professors who have certain expectations, but holy cow, this moment might not be coming around again.
Yeah, that's a really great question. We had an opportunity. So some producers from the Today Show, Good Morning America, kind of found our product in, I guess it was probably November of 2014. Right before law school finals. For those of you who don't know, law school finals count generally for 100% of your grade. And so 1 3-hour sitting written essay accounts for almost everything. I kind of, at that point, had to make a decision to prioritize. And so I was actually someone who got good grades in graduate school up until that point. And at that point, I decided that, hey, my last semester, my last credits, I think I did get a good grade in your class still, but all the others that were not necessarily specifically focused on what I wanted to do I found out what I wanted to do for the foreseeable future. So the classes that didn't apply to that, so whether that was Indian law or water law or some of the things that I had to take to continue, I said, all right, I'm going to take them, but I'm not going to get good grades. And I had to accept that, which is actually a really hard thing to do. But I said, I'm not going to put a lot of effort into this because I need to focus on this business I'm trying to build. So I think you just have to make that decision for yourself. And you can realize, if you logically think about it, what's important and what's not, right? The VC law was a lot more applicable to my life, how it ended up, than water law. And so it's a give and take.
All right, well, Chris, awesome of you to carve out time to share your story back with the next generation of entrepreneurs who are tuning in right now. Many thank yous for doing it. And what a fun story. And I've just got to say, I'm so proud to watch what you guys are building. So thanks for joining us.
I appreciate that. And if anyone in the audience has questions or wants to ask, feel free to email me. I might be a little slow in responding, but you can email me at chris@shinesty.com.
Awesome. Rohan, back to you, man.
Thank you so much, Brad and Chris. Always a pleasure to hear from you both. Now, we heard a little bit about the new Venture Challenge in passing tonight, which is a great transition into our next topic, how you can innovate on campus and where you can find resources. The new Venture Challenge is an amazing program on campus with a plethora of resources available to you to turn your ideas into a full-on business that you can compete with and win large funding amounts for. With that, I'd like to welcome Tara O'Brien, our new NVC director. Tara, please tell us more. There we go.
Hey, thanks, Rohan. Hey, everyone. I am so stoked to see you all here tonight. My name is Tara O'Brien, and like Rohan said, I'm here to tell you all about the new Venture Challenge, which is the coolest competition that I hope to see each and every one of you participate in, even if you have never thought about participating or becoming an entrepreneur with a startup company. And let me tell you, I get it. 15 years ago, I totally didn't either. I had a degree in history and journalism, and becoming an entrepreneur was like the last thing that I ever thought would be on my radar. But once I was introduced into this world, I knew it was the right place for me. And maybe it is for you too. If you like a challenge or you want to see what you're made of, enjoy creating impact for this planet, working with other creative people, and of all things, you love problem solving, I want each and every one of you to stand by for a link that I'm going to throw into the chat box here in a minute so you can get signed up for everything you need to know. Whether you're already working on a company and you need help refining it, or if you have no idea how to start a company, but you want to, or you want to work with others that are, the new Venture Challenge is totally where you need to be. We hold year-round events starting this fall, open to all students and staff, lots of cool things leading up to the big Pitch Your Idea competition next April. And believe me, you totally want to pitch your idea. No idea is too big or too small. But we do have a little over $100,000 in cash to give away to a lot of you. And yes, that money is yours, no matter what happens with your idea. So listen, I wanted you to meet a friend of mine who competed last year, and now she's killing it with her idea in the food industry. This is Donna Merton, and she built the company Fed.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you for having me on today. I'm super excited to be here and to see what has evolved from NBC, and this basically just being a seed idea that I started with. So I'm actually graduating from the Masters of Environment program, and went over to the business school to take a class, and NBC was there. And we talked about this idea. And so basically what Fed is we are a mobile processing unit and also have a commercial kitchen and process seconds from farms. So we're trying to help reduce food waste and bring local food back into the community. So as you can see, my truck behind me here, which I could have never done without NBC and all the resources, support, all the workshops, I would recommend anyone, and I have over 20 years of experience being an entrepreneur, to do the whole process. Because even if you don't win it, there is someone out there that might help you, or you might have a whole concept together you can keep pitching. So here is the truck, the dream, the vision, and I'll take you on a little tour. It's Farm Eats Direct. So everything we do is seconds. And we actually have a part of this comes out is that there's actually a produce stand that'll pop out of this as well. And now we're going inside the beast, which if you can see behind me, this is the big processing unit and all that we do here. And this is actually the stand that pops out, and it's really fabulous because we can actually sell seconds in produce boxes. And, you know, one example of what we've done lately is Metacarbon Farm was a small startup farm that had over 400 pounds of produce that they were going to lose because they were running out of water. We are actually able to process it into probably over 60-gallon ferments for the winter time. So it's our goal to educate the public and also just keep making amazing food. And if you want to come to our grand opening, you can actually taste the food, which is this Saturday. So you can check out fedboulder.com if you want to see what's going on.
All right. Thanks so much, Tara. That was really enlightening. And as you can see through NVC, through the resources on campus, you can really go anywhere you want to with an idea. I started out doing NVC too. And even though I didn't make it to the finals, I lost in the semis. To the team that won eventually, I'll tell you that much. But however, even after that, we were able to get into Catalyze CU, a Boulder-based, CU-based accelerator that really gave us funding and the tools we needed to grow. And today we're raising our seed funding round. So the smallest idea can really turn into a lot of great results at NVC or after. So this next clip we have actually addresses many of the topics you'll want to learn more about and features some additional resources on campus to get you up and running and for all of your innovation needs, everything from academic classes to validator programs to prototyping labs. So with that being said, let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Shaz, proud member of Atlas, an interdisciplinary institute for radical creativity and innovation. Atlas is an ideal environment for entrepreneurs to cultivate their vision, explore new technologies, and invent. Students and community members alike share ideas in Atlas's makerspace, the Blow Things Up Lab, which has a wealth of workshops and tools ranging from 3D printing to electronics, woodworking to sewing, and more. But even better than that is access to Atlas's incredible community of engineers, technologists, biologists, and artists. Excited? Us too. For more information, check out our website and feel free to email me directly to get connected with the right person. My email is shaz@colorado.edu. I hope we hear from you soon.
What cool stuff would you like to create in the world? Well, all of us at Deming are excited to help you on your journey. Hey everybody, my name is Eric Miller and I lead the Deming Center for Entrepreneurship. And along with this amazing team of Brad, Jeff, Jenny, Sharon, and Bree, we're excited to help you learn and experience the entrepreneurial way of thinking. Now, we teach 47 entrepreneurship courses a year. We offer events and competitions, and we're thrilled to introduce the opening of the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Hub, connecting the business and engineering schools. We can't wait to work with you.
Hey there, entrepreneurship buffs. This is Bryn Reese from Venture Partners at CU Boulder. We help university researchers to commercialize the innovations developed in their labs. If you're a CU Boulder researcher and you've been thinking about starting your own venture, it may seem like a daunting task, not unlike scaling one of these boulder peaks behind me. But we've got a great team at Venture Partners, and we'll help you get to the top of the mountain in your own entrepreneurial journey.
I'm here with my man Paul Newman, and happy to tell you about Silicon Flatiron Center. We are oriented around things technology. Our entrepreneurship initiative connects up the campus to the Boulder, Denver geek startup scene. Join us for programs like our Entrepreneurs Unplugged offerings and our Crash Course series. Look at the Silicon Flatiron Center's website for our upcoming events. Put on your calendar to look out next spring for applications to our internship program, which will run in summer 2021, called Startup Summer. It's a great program. And in the coming weeks, look for information about our pandemic innovation competition. There will be well over $10,000 in prizes involved, and you will have the chance to reinvent Colorado industries in view of our very weird and strange times. I look forward to seeing you on campus, in Zoom, and other places with respect to entrepreneurship this year. Again, Brad Bernthal with our Silicon Flatiron Center.
Hi, my name's Jeff Nitsch, and I'm director of the Entrepreneurship Center for Music here at CU Boulder. Musicians and creatives of all kinds face significant challenges with their careers, now more than ever. And most of all, they usually suffer from a scarcity mindset that says there's only so much of the pie and I gotta get mine. They also often lack the tools that they need to build a career for themselves. And that's where the Entrepreneurship Center for Music comes in. Our goal is to give our students the tools, the training, the mindset they need to build fulfilling careers for themselves that are artistically satisfying and financially sustainable. In other words, to make the starving artist a thing of the past.
Hi, my name is Becky Komarek. I work at the Idea Forge. The Idea Forge is the campus design and build facility. You can use the Idea Forge to get design help, to learn how to prototype. We have 3D printing and electronics. You can take a workshop. You can learn how to sew or how to use woodworking equipment. This semester, we'll be building any parts or projects for you, but in the future, you'll be able to build them yourself. We support students from across campus. Let us know how we can help you.
All right, that video should give you all a great idea of the abundance of things you can do on campus to innovate. There's also a lot more on our website, so feel free to take a look at colorado.edu/innovate, as well as colorado.edu/NBC to stay up to date on all things NBC. You can go ahead and submit the interest form and it'll send you emails about everything going on with that, which is super cool. With that, we'd also like to feature another campus partner who's here tonight. It'll be Lisa Henderson with CMCI. All right, Lisa, will you please say a few words for us?
Yeah, hi, I'm Lisa Henderson, and I teach design leadership at the studio. And the studio, we're off campus, actually, we're on Walnut and 13th, and that is because we work together with a lot of local and national and international businesses. We're the intersection really of academia and business around creativity and design. We kind of an audacious goal. We want to use design to positively impact the world and our futures. And in a world like ours that is complex and ambiguous and volatile and changing rapidly and interconnected and subject to profound disruption like COVID or leadership changes, political changes, technology, we need to be able to do and think differently. And that's what we're all about at the studio. We try to design differently than we have in the past. And we try to lead differently, lead from a design perspective, which is quite different than traditional leadership and management orientation. And when you see that design-led companies have outperformed the S&P 500 by 228% in the last decade, it makes you go, wow, what is it that designers do? And how is leadership so different in design? We're actually a 12-month program and a collaborative space. And we really develop real skills, hard and soft, UX, CX, brand design, experience design, lots of leadership tasks, conflict management, communication. And we do this with all kinds of materials, lots of the cool stuff too that you find at the Idea Forge. Essentially, come and spend some time with us if you want to think broader about how all these skills can help shape the future. Our motto reflects our audacious goal: start here and change everything. And so come be a part of the cool stuff we've got going on. Oh, and if you want to know anything more, feel free to email me, lisa.henderson@colorado.edu.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing those words. That's some very interesting stuff and a lot of good opportunities there for you all to be had. So contact Lisa or check it out when you can. Next up, without further ado, we have Zayo's very own Sandy Mays, who is the Chief Experience and Information Officer for the company. Zayo has probably one of the more inspirational stories in Boulder, having gone from 0 to $14.3 billion and blossoming into one of our community's most respected companies. Sandy is going to tell us a little bit more about the journey from 0 to $14.3 billion. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and email innovate@colorado.edu, and we'll get back to you at the end for some more questions. With that being said, take it away, Sandy.
Hi, Rowan. Can you see me or hear me? Yes?
Yep,
okay.
You're all set.
Awesome. So thank you all for inviting me. It's such an honor to speak to you. I love the NBC Challenge, and I love the stories that come out of it. So tonight I'm going to tell you a story. It starts in the way back. There was a massive company called AT&T, lovingly referred to as Ma Bell. AT&T had more than 1 million employees and had almost complete control of all phones, data, and voice in the US. In the 1970s, things began to change as the computer age blossomed and the internet was invented. AT&T began to seem like an obstacle to innovation, an obstacle to the future. So on January 1st, 1984, regulators broke up AT&T into 7 baby bells, opening up competition and opening up innovation. I'm going to pause here and use a ski metaphor. Once you've made a commitment to being a great skier or snowboarder, you start to look for that great mountain. Well, in this metaphor, the market for communication services was about to become a double black diamond. In the early 1990s, as the percentage of people using computers increased from 15 to 35%, Dan Caruso, Zayo's CEO, this girl, and many others started our careers at MFS Communications. MFS was a competitive access provider. In 1996, MFS acquired a company called UUNet. UUNet was the first internet service provider, and we paid about $2 million for them. Later that same year, WorldCom swooped in and acquired MFS for $12 billion. But things were just getting started. Just as the stock market was heating up, entrepreneurs from MFS moved to Colorado, founding Level 3 Communications and putting about $3 billion to work, building a global fiber optic network. Between 1995 and 2000, the NASDAQ rose 400% as people invested in any .com company. Investors were also pouring money into anyone who was doing fiber optics. But then, using our ski metaphor again, the market wiped out. On March 10th of 2000, NASDAQ was at $6.7 trillion. By the end of 2002, stocks had lost $5 trillion in market capitalization. $2 trillion of that was related to telecommunications companies. And as you'd expect, investors became very wary of any investment in telecommunications. But Dan Caruso never lost sight of the value of using fiber to fuel those innovations that were happening in the world. We found a few adventurous VCs to help him buy ICG out of bankruptcy. A few of us followed him, and after 2 years, we turned ICG into a cash flow positive company. Specifically, we turned a company with a negative 18% annual growth into a company with 14% annual growth. That's a 32% improvement in just 2 years. The reward for that? Level 3 purchased ICG, netting those adventurous VCs a 25x return on investment. We'd all take that, especially after the huge bust in the market. But like any great entrepreneur, we weren't done. In 2007, a few of us followed Dan on his quest to start a global fiber optic company headquartered in Boulder, Colorado. In fact, if you've ever eaten at Nick and Willie's on Pearl Street, you're right next door to where Zayo was born. Our mission was to provide mission-critical bandwidth to the world's most impactful companies, fueling the innovations that are transforming our society. But we started with nothing and we needed a network. We worked our butts off, and within the first 6 months, we acquired 5 companies. We then had $125 million in annual revenue and 300 employees. We were still accelerating. Over the next 13 years, we acquired and integrated 46 companies. We went public in 2014, then private in 2020 with our new investors, EQT and Digital Colony. We returned 7.7x to our investors at Zayo. And for comparative purposes, MSN Money identified Zayo as the most successful company founded in 2007. Other companies on the list for their founding years included Google, Amazon, Cisco, and Tesla. You know, it's easy to connect the dots of how we got here in retrospect. It's much, much harder to know you're doing the right things in the messiness of the moment. It's been a wild ride, but this moment, with the convergence of 8 exponential technologies happening right now, and those technologies are 5G, AI, AR, VR, 3D printing, sensors, robotics, 3D chips, all of those relying on fiber to fuel those innovations. I think we're just getting off the gondola and starting a new run. So if you haven't sent in a question, please send it to innovate@colorado.edu, and Rohan will read that to me to answer.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sandy. That is a lot of insight and a lot of inspiration and a lot of calls to action right there for anyone who has an idea and wants to pursue it, even in the face of resistance. With that being said, we do have a lot of questions from some audience members. Our first question is the fact that Zayo seems to have identified a big trend, a macro, if you will, where the overall market was growing in the world of fiber and communications. How can those of us today identify the next big growing market, the next big macro where they might want to start a business?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of macro markets in tech right now. So I mentioned the 8 converging technologies that are happening around AI, AR, AV, or VR, 3D printers, robotics, sensors. Look in that space. There are going to be so many inventions, especially with people at home during COVID. I can't imagine what's going to come out of it. But look at the tech space. That's my advice. That's a space I've lived in. And you're going to see some big changes about to happen. And it's always better to ride a really big wave than it is to ride a small wave. Or I guess in skis it would be Black Diamond versus Bunny Hill.
Thank you so much. That's a great analogy for everyone that we have in our audience today, actually. So perfect. And we'll move on to our next question from there. An audience question from a Richard Steemack is, when your company faced no profits, how were you able to motivate yourself that your product was the right choice?
So we always had profits. We were cash flow negative. So there was always a lot of revenue, and telecommunications is a recurring revenue business, just like you pay your phone company every month for services. What happened though is there was a lot of exuberance around the telecom industry and a lot of spending got out of control. And then the funding dried up. I think Chris talked about how, oh my gosh, we didn't have enough money to pay payroll. Well, when the funding dries up, you have to make some tough decisions. And those are the tough decisions that we made. So day one, we went in and we just looked at every single invoice and said, we've got to figure out which ones we can cut. So the first one we cut was monster.com because we weren't hiring anyone. So that saved us about $30,000 a year. So we started cutting. We actually divested a couple of companies or a couple of areas that weren't profitable. And we started to double down where there was a ton of demand. So it happened in 2 years. Again, we worked our butts off, but we were able to take expenses out of the business, focus and divest. And we had to do it quick because, again, we had not a lot of runway of cash. We never ran out of money to make payroll, though, Chris. You went through a little more than I did.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Our next question is, looks like right here. So Zayo started with a team that had played together by building companies together before. What advantages does this have? And does it come with any challenges?
Absolutely. Well, huge advantages are you speak the same language, right? I'm sure some of you have traveled abroad and you go to France and they're speaking English and you're like, I'm still not quite understanding what you're saying. That's what it's like when you start a new company. When you know people, you accelerate really fast. You know what to do. You know the game book or the playbook. You know, if I do this, this person's going to react a certain way. So that part is actually really comfortable. You have a small group of people and you're working 20-hour days, but it's fun. You're getting it done. I think it's a bigger challenge as you start to expand and bring new people into the mix. So right now we have around 3,000 employees, and you don't know what's going on, 1,000 employees away from what you're doing. So there's more duplicate work. It's not as efficient, but the challenges of working with a group of people who are just dynamic and I would take that any day of the week. And I have my team, I think, has 36 years of tenure at Zayo, if you add it all up, my direct report team, which is pretty exciting.
Amazing. And our next question is, do you have any advice for women founders and women in leadership positions when it comes to getting their ideas out and into the world to create more impact?
It's tough. It's a lot harder for women. I work with a woman named Katika Roy. She founded Pipeline Equity, so she's a founder. And I invested in her company. And she said, her company is about using AI to make sure there's diversity in the business. She said, meeting with all men who are making decisions and trying to relate to them is absolutely a challenge. So what I would tell you is get a network of women, find other women entrepreneurs, and shore each other up. Because you know what? It's a lot easier when you can share those experiences. And by the way, I don't think men are biased against women intentionally, but there is a filter that gets applied when a man is listening to a woman that they don't even understand happens. And we need to battle through that. We need to get diversity on the VCs. So when those decisions are made, they're investing in profitable companies. And the statistics are out there. Companies that have diversity, companies that are 50-50 are more profitable than companies that are not. So it's a good thing. If you're a female founder, stick with it.
Perfect. Our another question we had is, how do we get a job at Zayo once we graduate, or
Oh
if
my,
all of our businesses collectively fail?
did I put that question in there? Because I'll tell you what, we are always hiring. I had 40 interns this summer from CU, and I think we're retaining about 15 of them, some of them part-time through the school year. So one, link in with me to send a note to sandy.mays@zayo.com, and we'll check out your resume, get it to the right people, and hopefully get you hired. Because I'll tell you what, you guys are amazing, and we are doing amazing things.
Thank you so much, Sandy. One last question we actually had. This was honestly something I've really been wondering about too, is some of our audience might be deciding about whether immediately after school they want to start their own company or join an emerging company like Zayo, where actually they might get more mentorship or experience. Any thoughts about how a student might evaluate this choice of which path to take?
Everyone's decision is their own. What I would say is the first thing you need to do is write down what you want and why you want it. So being an entrepreneur, you can do it to be rich. That's probably not a path to success. You need to think about what is that thing in the world that I want to contribute, and then start writing that down. And I'll tell you what, the path will open up for you to do that. It might be starting on your own right away and finding the right mentor. It could be joining a company like Zayo, but if you know what you want to do and you can articulate it, you will find the right people to help you at the right time for you, because it's different for everybody.
Perfect. That is some great interview questions and answers from Sandy. Thank you so much for joining us today. We all really appreciate your time. And I personally, and I'm sure I speak for the rest of the audience, learned a lot from you today. So thank you so much. And have a good rest of your week, Sandy.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So Zayo is always here to answer more questions. Hopefully you grab that email address from Sandy, but feel free to reach out to us if you do want to connect more and need help. So that wraps up a lot of what we have left. At the end, we're going to go to our innovation awards. So we'll end with one of the best parts of the evening, which is when we get a chance to recognize our campus and community innovation team. We have 3 awards to present tonight to honor our top student, our top faculty/staff member, and our top mentor of the year. Each of our awardees will be honored with a plaque and their very own hammock for, take that back. I'm just getting a call saying it's going to be a kimono from Sashynasty, not a hammock for, never mind. It's going to be a kimono. It's going to be a kimono. We'll start with Stephen Miller, who will present the Mentor of the Year award. Take it away, Stephen.
Hello. Thanks, everyone. I'm so thrilled that you're still with us this evening. The mentors are the lifeblood of almost everything we do for students and for our faculty. And we wanted to recognize a few people tonight that have gone significantly above and beyond. First of all, we wanted to recognize our newcomer of the year. And our newcomer of the year is Susan Sirota. Susan, we should have a slide coming up showing Susan, but Susan was one of our newest mentors and jumped in to almost every possible opportunity she could. She's worked with students, she's worked with our faculty, and she wasn't shy about jumping in with a lot of life sciences people who speak an entirely different language, but her marketing skills has really turned things around for them. So much thanks to Susan Sirota as our best newcomer. One of the byproducts of our COVID environment is everything's virtual. When everything's virtual, you can have a mentor from anywhere in the world. And we got exactly that in our mentor who mentored from the farthest distance from CU, and that was Francisco Portalejo Hoyes. He is located in London. It's a 7-hour distance between here and there. But in spite of that time difference, he made himself available at a variety of different times and has mentored 5 different teams at CU. And even though the distance is only virtual, he went above and beyond as far as working for us in the longest distance. So thank you so much to Francisco. For our Mentor of the Year, we had a number of semifinalists, all who were exceptional. And I want to mention them before we name our the winner of our Mentor of the Year. For our semifinalists, we had Mike McCourt, who I don't think ever said no to any request for mentoring. I think we have him down for 9 different engagements over the course of the last 16 or 18 months. Chris Singer was part of our Mentor Accelerator, as well as a number of other engagements. He continues to mentor a variety of teams that he started with for just a 1-day session. And now 5-6 months later, he's still helping them hit their milestones and move things forward. And then Susan Strong, she's almost one of our team. The difference is we don't actually pay her, but she works as if she is. She's already been recognized as one of our quarterly mentors. She's running research to market along with Sally Hatcher from our Commercialization Academy right now. Susan puts in almost as many hours for us as a full-time job. So those were our finalists. However, our Mentor of the Year distinguished himself by crossing multiple college units and campuses and schools. So our Mentor of the Year is Rich Kopcho. Rich was especially notable because he mentored for Venture Partners, which is predominantly our faculty, innovating out of the labs. He committed to the computer sciences and engineering schools, mentored students there. He also mentored for Leeds for the business school. And then he even jumped in for our project called Co-Venture Forward, which was a partnership with the governor's office where we were helping people affected by the business impacts of the COVID research. So I think Rich is listening. I don't know that we can cut to him via video, but I think he's on the call. And Rich, we've got this coming up for you. You've been told about the Shinesty. And hopefully this comes through on the video from my end. It's got bears and rockets and eagles and flags and jets. Oh my, I don't even know how to describe this to you, but I'll be getting this to you in the next week. So there we go. So Shinesty shines again. Thank you so much to all of our mentors, not just these, but all the others who have done such a phenomenal job for us, for students and for faculty. Have a great evening, and thank you all very much.
All right, I think I'm up next. Hey everyone, I'm Fletcher Richmond. I was the very first winner of the Fletcher Richmond Award, as you might have guessed. I'm here in Austin, Texas, so I'm getting jealous of all this Shinesty gear. Wanted to wrap my Shinesty mask in case you didn't know. If you need some sweet masks, they've got all sorts of good ones. So go ahead and check that out. I went to CU Boulder from 2010 through 2014. I studied electrical computer engineering, and I had a great time. I did a lot of startup stuff. While I was a student, I started a co-working space called Spark Boulder, and then I was also one of the co-founders of Catalyze CU. And so when I graduated, they created an award for the student that does something incredibly entrepreneurial and impacts the campus. And we have a really amazing student that we're recognizing this year. I've seen her contributions to campus a little bit from afar, but I think I'm going to pass over to Chris and she can talk about some of the amazing things that Rachel has done while she's been a student at CU.
Awesome. Thank you, Fletcher. Hello, everybody. Hey, this is live happening right now. I just have to show you guys. Do you see how technical this is? We're making it happen right here tonight. Thanks for staying on, everybody. I hate to use a script, but this is such an incredible responsibility to be able to deliver this award to this person that I'm going to read a little bit off script. I'm trying not to, but I got good input here from Kyle Judah, Becky Komarick, Eric Miller, a few other students. Unanimous agreement that this person is the epitome of what CU entrepreneurship is all about. She's an engineer, a maker, a builder of products and businesses, and a problem solver. And more importantly, and I can attest to this, she's a great human. She's brilliant, she's kind, she competed in Catalyze. She served on our innovation action team. And over this summer, actually, she was the first person to join the Make for COVID effort, which is where she personally made over 1,400 face shields for our frontline workers. So she's awesome. And I love to talk about the she and this person and then like give the big reveal because this person is Rachel Sharp. Rachel, we love you. You graduated in May from engineering. You stayed on the campus. You're an incredible force. It's my pleasure to know you. And I'm gonna hold up the Shinesty award here. All right, so Rachel, we picked this out for you. If you can see it, it's got tigers on it. It seems like the most appropriate thing for you. And we just want to say thank you. It's my honor to award you with that, and the whole team appreciates you greatly along with your fellow students. So thank you. What I'm going to do now, and we'll see how we can make this magic happen. Rachel, we're going to pan to your face so you can wave, and then we're going to give it to Eric Miller to present our last award of the night. Thanks. Good job, Rachel. All right, Eric, you're up.
All right, congrats, Rachel. Very well deserved, and thanks, Chris. Good evening, everyone. My name is Eric Miller. I'm a teacher and the executive director at the Deming Center for Entrepreneurship at the Leeds School of Business. It is my absolute honor to introduce tonight's Frank Moyes Award. Now, this award is CU Boulder's highest honor for a faculty or staff member who makes an exceptional impact upon students and helps catalyze entrepreneurship across campus. But first, there's something missing. I have to get into the proper award attire. Give me just a second here, guys. All right, now I think I'm doing, although this should be a Shinesty, so next time, Chris, I'll swing by the factory and then I'll be ready to go. So I think I'm ready now. And I thought it'd be fun to see if folks can piece together who the awardee is. This is a little bit of a surprise. So I'll share a few notes and stories and then present the award. Now, I first met this person on November 23rd, 2005. I was teaching one of my first classes ever at CU and asked around for someone who could speak to my class around entity formation and provide additional resources for my students. And one of my students at the time, Stan Doida, recommended this person to come and speak to my class. And this person crushed it. And we've been friends ever since. And over the past 15 years, this person has made an immeasurable impact in the lives of our students, faculty, staff, and community. It's kind of hard to concentrate with this hat on, isn't it? I'll keep trying. And I can't think of a better way to honor and appreciate this person than via notes from the people whom he has made such a positive impact on. Now, I received pages of notes of appreciation and gratitude for this person, and I'd like to share just a few. First is from Jeff, a fellow faculty member. It has something to do with artwork. And Jeff says, when I arrived at CU 11 years ago, I was a brand new appointment in the brand new field of arts entrepreneurship. Nobody knew exactly what I should be doing, including myself. This person was one of the first people I met on this campus. He brought me into the campus ecosystem, encouraged me, guided me, and most of all, believed in the work I was doing. I'm forever grateful for his mentorship, his friendship, and the incredible leadership he has embodied on this campus. Entrepreneurship on this campus would not be where it is today without him. Second is from Bryn, my little Bryn, a campus leader and staff member, and this involves coffee. And Bryn shares, I first met this person at a coffee shop on the hill. As I worked at another table while waiting for our appointment time, he met with a constant stream of students and local entrepreneurs. When my turn came and I sat down with him, I already knew this was someone with great generosity and care for the community. In the years since, my experience with this person has confirmed that 100 times over. And third is from Brandon, a former student. This person is one of those people that is infectious with positivity. It makes students excited to work with him and stay engaged as alumni decades later. He has become a mega node in Boulder, where nearly everyone in the startup ecosystem has a story about how this person connected them to someone important in their life, whether it be personal or professional. He is perhaps the most universally admired person I've ever met. And finally, I wanted to share a word from Frank Moyes, who this award is named after. And I chatted with Frank. He was bummed he couldn't be here in person, but he said, congrats. You've always supported entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs across campus in our community. You've made such a positive impact in so many people's lives. I actually suggest you rename this award to your name. So as you can see, this person has impacted our faculty, our students, our staff, and our community. Holy moly, what an impact that this person has had on entrepreneurship within our community. And so I just have to add a few more notes. I literally got pages of notes. Here's two more that I thought were hilarious. Amelia believes that he has the best bowling shirts in town. And Carlos is impressed with his ability to, quote, chug a can of carbonated water in less than 45 seconds. I'd like to see that, by the way. Okay, everybody, who do you think this person is? I'm seeing a lot of smiley, knowing faces. And yes, you're exactly right. It is my privilege and honor to announce that this year's Frank Moyes Award goes to my friend and simply an amazing person who has made a huge positive impact via entrepreneurship, the one and only Brad Bernthal. Congrats, Brad.
Oh, wow, that is really humbling. And Eric, it means a lot that you did that in terms of the introduction and those comments and pulling those things together. I'll just say this. I've been involved with CU Entrepreneurship since 2005. Everybody knows this, that when it comes to entrepreneurship, no one goes it alone. We at CU are so lucky to have out our front door and our back door a world-class startup scene that for everybody who's tuning in tonight, they will support you. And I have been part of that. Eric's part of that. Everybody on this call is part of that. And it speaks to why this has been such a meaningful journey to be part of, which is, I think, what we're doing here with Entrepreneurship and Innovation is teaching you how to live your dream, how to go from that dorm room conversation to reality, how to go from that PowerPoint to making something happen, building something in the world like Fletcher and Rachel and Chris White have done. And it is, I think, one of the highest things that humans can do. I'm honored to be recognized with this award. It means a ton to me. Thank you.
Well, congrats again. Very well deserving. Before I throw it back over to Brad, before I throw it back over to Rohan, I have to show off your Shinesty kimono and robe as well. I'm sure that everybody viewing this event tonight, we will see Brad in that down the road, guaranteed. Congrats again. Back over to you, Rohan.
All right. Looks like that's a wrap. Congratulations to all our award recipients. I really hope to see you guys all in kimonos on campus moving forward. But thank you all to our audience members for joining us this evening. So let's go innovate and make some impact. Have a great night, Buffs. And remember to go to colorado.edu/innovate or email us at innovate@colorado.edu for any questions or any help whatsoever. Thank you guys. Good luck on your entrepreneurial journey this year and have a great night.